Yes.
Father Christ.
Yes.
But God, we ask you to help us that's still here. That where our pain and suffering is, that you would ease our mind.
Yes.
Father, we ask you to look upon this family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This niece that stood by.
Yes.
Father, touch her right now.
Yes.
Father, give her the strength that she needs.
Yes.
Father God, we thank you for this special friend
Yes, we do.
that was always there when he just needed a call.
Yes, yes, yes.
Father, we just want you to hedge her life.
Yes.
Touch Sister Mary.
Yes.
Give her peace in the midst of her storm. Father God, we say thank you for the young man
Yes.
for 7 years
Yes.
that was his caregiver.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Father, I know he bonded in relationship.
Yes, it is.
And
Yes.
he's finding it hard
Yes.
to say goodbye.
My Lord.
God, give him strength where he needs.
Yes, yes.
Then, Father, his brother and sister
Yes.
that's still on this side.
My Lord.
Father, we ask you to help them right now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And God, give them peace in the midst of their situation.
Yes, yes.
Father, we know that you're able
Yes, you
and
are.
know that you can.
Thank you.
God, we come to you with thanksgiving on our heart.
Yes.
Father, I know we had a sad
Yes,
situation.
we do. Yes.
We had a moment of loss.
Yes.
We had a moment of hopelessness.
My Lord.
But God, I learned to praise your name. Even though that I got anguish all in my heart, got hurting in my body, got pains in my legs, I've learned to praise your name in the midst of my situation. Because the more I praise you, the better things get. Because I realize it was not me, but it's when you make a way out of Amen. Praises to God. Family, I love you. He was a matriarch of our church, of many people's families, and he loved everyone genuinely. Church resolution of respect for Reverend William Preston Moultrie. No matter what your trials are, or how big your mountain seems, the Lord is there to see you through. He'll go to all extremes. So if your cross seems hard to bear, and you know not what to do, the one who loves you most of all will be there to see you through. We are in a place in this world for a limited time, and with the breath of an infant begins the race to the grave, a race everyone must run. Whereas, in the providence of God, he has brought us to a close the life of Reverend Moultrie. The officers of members of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Rockdale, Texas, feel that it is befitting to express their sympathy to the family of Sister Lisa Benford, Sister Deborah Crawford, and Sister Terry Lynn Williams during the passing of Reverend Moultrie. We commend you to him who knoweth best and will always do right. You have our deepest sympathy and our most sincere prayers. Whereas Reverend Moultrie was a prolific and profound minister who loved the Lord, a very independent person who would willingly perform the best of his ability in any task, and instilled in his family to follow his example. He loved his family with a gentle yet stern combination which only he possessed. Whereas, not only in the loss of a devoted minister, but also a confident counselor and the closest of friends. A person who has always been available to share an encouraging word and demonstrate strong support. Whereas the passing of our beloved brother is in heaven's game, and there is a human tie that has been broken which bleeds the heart in agony and pain. We are encouraged and consoled in the words of Jesus, who said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. 1 Corinthians 15, 50 through 55 says it best. Now this I say, brother, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doeth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must be incorruption, and this mortal must put in immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put in incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Therefore be it resolved that we embrace the family, because all of us have common bond that will connect us for the rest of our lives. We cannot replace Reverend Moultrie.
All right.
But we will attempt to demonstrate his love before you. Be it resolved that we bow in humble submission to him who never makes a mistake, and remind the family to be encouraged by remembering this. When I must leave you for a little while, please do not grieve and shed wild tears, and hug your sorrow to you through your years. But start, I pray you, with a gallant smile, and for my sake and in my name, live on and do all things the same. Feed not your loneliness on empty days, but fill each waking hour in useful ways. Reach out your hand in comfort and in cheer, and I in turn will comfort you and hold you near. And never, never be afraid to die, for I am waiting for you in the sky.
Amen.
Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the family and a copy kept in church archives. To the family, we know your loss is deep and your sorrow is great, but we want you to know that we share in your sorrow. But more importantly, we recognize that this loss is heaven's gain.
Only submitted on this 19th day of July 2014. The officers and members of the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, Rockville, Texas. Reverend R.D. Jackson, Senior Pastor.
We're now up to our reflections. Those who are on the program will go ahead and come to my left here and give those reflections at this time.
I know that the pastor said there would be no resolves, no resolutions, but I'm here as his colleague from Howard University, life. So I do have a resolution to present to his daughter on behalf of Howard University, and I have agreed to read that to you. Howard University, the Secretary of the Board of Trustees, to Ms. Jocelyn R. Moultrie. Dear Ms. Moultrie, Mr. Addison Van Rand, Barry Rand, Chairman of the Howard University Board of Trustees, and Interim President Wayne A.I. Frederick ask that I respectfully advise you of the adoption of the following resolution by Howard University Board of Trustees. Resolution. The Board of Trustees of Howard University wishes to include in its official records a very special expression of sincere condolences to Mrs. Jocelyn R. Moultrie on the passing of her beloved father, former head coach of track and field and athletic director William Bill Moultrie. Mr. Moultrie served as head coach from 1973 until 1999 and brought the program to international prominence. Moultrie produced an impressive 71 indoor and outdoor NCAA Division I track and field All-Americans. Known as the difference maker, a number of Coach Moultrie's athletes went on to qualify for the Olympic trials, and many became standouts in their professional careers. He also served the university with distinction as assistant football coach for the Bison from 1973 to 1982, and later as director of athletics from 1986 to 1990. Coach Moultrie brought fame to the university when he began his storied association with the Olympics. In 1979, the Olympic Development Committee, ODC, selected him as an instructor for the 4x100 meter relay, the 4x400 meter relay teams. In July of that same year, he served as an instructor for the sprint and the 400 meters at the Olympic Development Field Camp in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In addition, he conducted classes for coaches in the 400 meter and the 4x400 meter relay. Moultrie served as National Sprint and Relay Chair for the ODC in 1985. The following year, he was chosen as Chief Inspector for the Olympic Sports Festival and Sprint and Relay Coach for the Goodwill Games. Subsequently to his departure from Howard University, he was an Olympic assistant coach in 1992 and became the first African American to serve as Olympic track referee 4 years later in Atlanta. Be it therefore resolved that this expression of sympathy towards the death of William Bill Moultrie be spread upon the minutes of the Board of Trustees at Howard University. Attested this day, Artist G. Hampshire Cowan, Esquire, Secretary of the Board of Trustees. I'm going to read one more thing, and then I hate reading. It always tells how far you come and how far you can fall when you read things. But my daughter tweeted on the day that we received notice that Coach was no longer with us. From Ebony Tyler. We lost a great man today. Coach William Moultrie was a former head track coach at Howard University. He was also a very close friend of mine and my family. I used to interrupt the track practice trying to get to the gym to see my mother. He used to yell, "Twins, stay out of the way." Even better, he would always acknowledge to his athletes to accelerate. If you've ever been to our gym, acceleration was a very difficult thing. My daughter told me at 7 she could never run for Coach Moultrie. I asked her why. She said, because he makes them run towards that glass, and I don't know if I can stop. My name is Sonia Tyler, and I was the head basketball coach at Howard University for 20 years.
Amen.
In 20 years, I saw a side of this man that could never be duplicated. So I promise not to breathe, but I've got this piece. Coach Moultrie used to tell me, once a coach, always a coach.
That's right.
You never can step back, you never can sit down. My athletes call me Coach Howard. Coach Moultrie called me Coach T, and the nation calls him Coach. So I always introduce myself now with Sonia, Coach Howard, because those people will never forget that you coached or were a coach. And if you were any good, that was an acknowledgement from them. I met Coach Moultrie in 1997 when I was a NCAA basketball referee, and he used to be by the door at the gym level, and he'd always say, "Coach, you call it fair now, because we don't have it any other way here." A year later, I became the assistant coach, and he told me, he said, "Oh, you bit off a piece of that apple now." He would never tell you what you bit off or what he would do. He just wanted you to know it was out there and you were part of it. In 1980, I became the head basketball coach. And Coach Moultrie vetted me in the hallway while I was there with Mr. Darden, and he wanted to acknowledge what knowledge I had about coaching. Not answering his questions, he then gave me the rules. Rule number 1, if you don't believe, you don't belong. He said, as coach, not everybody can be a bicycle. I said nothing after that. Rule number 2, never let the rabbit get the gun. I want you to know it took me 10 years to figure out what it meant. And if you chase that rabbit all these years and you drop that gun, that rabbit sure gonna shoot you. Rule number 3, don't ever forget that these are kids that you're coaching. They only think about themselves until you teach them to think better. You see, Coach was not just a coach. Coach was a coach's coach. He was a strategist. Coach Moultrie could sit there and embrace new strategy and could appreciate your strategy. One event happened in our gym where a phys ed teacher had gone to a local university and became their basketball coach. Never knew she knew anything about basketball. But we were scheduled to scrimmage them that year, and so she walked in the gym and she had her hair all done up. She went to the beauty parlor. She had this blazer on. I guess that was associated with being a coach. And she came in and was being like they stole something. And so we were to play them again. It was going to be a double opportunity. So the next time I came in with a blazer and I had my hair special and starched like Patty LaBelle. And I did that because if she could come in replicating a coach, I could come and replicate Patty. You see, not everybody could wear that coach moniker. They always called me Coach Tyler, Coach T, but they only called him Coach. Coach was an innovator. He did things that you wouldn't believe could be done. He got people up to run that couldn't run. He had people to believe that they believed they were injured. He believed they weren't. He said, "Now, son, if your leg hurt is one thing. If your mind's broke, I understand." Coach Moultrie was a teacher. He expected you to get it right, not to do it again. I remember an athlete told me, "Coach, I'm trying." And Coach said, "Hell, son, if all I wanted was to try, I'd get a 2-year-old. When you're with Coach Moultrie, you just walk away and you shake your head. You know you've been touched. Moultrie above all was a student. You see, early in my career, he taught me. And late in his career, I taught him.
All right.
I taught him not the humility of the job, but the insaneness of the job.
Yeah.
And how you can do the job and do it well and never get appreciated.
Man.
So if you didn't walk away with any self-gratification, you may get none. We often talked about things that made sense to us, but maybe no sense to other people. Coach Moultrie once told me that his top player, his top runner, was going to Philadelphia for the pin relay, but that she was very sad. I said, well, Coach, is she sick? Well, no. Well, somebody passed away? No. He said, Bubba, you wouldn't call her last night. I said, well, Coach, how do you fix this? I call Bubba. You call her, and you tell her you love her, and you gonna call her as soon as she run that race and come back. Now, you have to understand, Bill's a very imposing force when he's talking to you like that. This young man was not a track star, but I understand he made numerous calls. I was once asked if I stood for something. And Coach Moultrie said, Coach, it's not what you stand for. It's when you leave what is still standing. He took a lot of young people and he left them standing. When they crawled in. I was asked, do you come forth because he is your colleague? And I said, no. They said, well, I know he's your friend. And I said, Bill is not my friend. He's my best friend.
No.
And when you have a best friend,
Yes.
no one has to tell you.
I know that.
Now, he's a rock star.
Yes, he is.
And if we weren't in this church, I'd throw this microphone down like you do when you're in the rock star. And on behalf of the minister and the members of this church, I will tell you this. You will find no greater.
I resemble a lot of those remarks, speaking of Coach Moultrie. I met Coach Moultrie in 1973. And I was playing football at the time in Howard, and this dude comes in with these cowboy boots, dungarees at the time, they weren't jeans, and this cowboy hat. And I'm like, okay, you know, we're in Washington, D.C., this Georgia Avenue, this is Superfly territory here. But this guy came through and he's very confident, and I'm watching him, and he's watching me. I wasn't my position coach, so it didn't matter to me. So at the time, I was playing at Howard, playing football. I'd never run track ever in my life before, but I was an athlete. Grew up in D.C., played football, played basketball, so he was received as coach, and one of the first things I noticed, he had this very big ring on. So I was like, this guy with this huge ring on. So I said, Coach, what's going on? He said, yes, son, I'm coaching Stanford. I said, you coach where? He said, I coached at Stanford University. I said, as in Randy Bataha, Jimmy Plunkett. He said, yeah. I said, I saw Stanford. Didn't kind of see you there, Coach. So he politely walked me to his office and shared with me that he was the lone Afro-American on the coaching staff. And yes, he did have 2 Rose Bowl ring. And I was like, it's impressive. You know, when you're a young man on Georgia Avenue from Washington, D.C., and somebody comes across there who had done a lot of first, you're going, wow. So we proceeded on, you know, I watched him, he watched me, and so he asked me, had I ever run track before? Oh, man, I don't know track, what you talking about? I'm a football player, basketball player. He said, you got some potential, son. I said, Coach, I'm not that guy. So anyway, he convinced me to go and run indoor track. Never ran track before in my life. And yes, I did run towards that mirror, that wall many times, because if you weren't the first person to the mirror, the wall, and if you were running against me, a football player, you would get introduced to that mirror and that wall. Let me fast forward. So the first year we ran, we had some people who was a leftover from the old crew, and coach was like, I don't know. And I said, Coach, they're gonna be all right. Basically, he ran them off, and then he brought in some folks like Zach Jones, who's sitting with me, Richard Massey, who's the stalwart for the program. So second year in, we go to Detroit Indoor Nationals. Now, I don't know anything about track, I don't know anything about Indoor Nationals, but we're going to Detroit. Good for me. Meals, I was living away from home, so I knew I was going to eat 3-4 days. I was going to get an airplane ride, and I was with Coach. And so we went to the Indoor Nationals, we did okay, but the next year we went to Provo, Utah. And I don't know how many people in here have been to Utah. Don't look, a lot of people don't look like us, so that was okay. But that was our first year that we went All-American in Provo, Utah. And Coach, when we came back to DC, Coach presented us with these awards. So I was a member, along with Zach Jones, Richard Massey, of this first All-American team. The first in 71. Then he folks took us down on the water, got us something to eat, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. I was like, well, Coach, you know, with a good seafood meal, a young man may need some beer or wine. He said, yes, a young man may need some beer and wine, but he won't be drinking beer and wine with me. Okay, Coach, you know, ran me all across the country, you won't buy a man a beer and wine, but that was respect. So later on, Coach became football. He got him on the ball with football. He ended up being the AD, and just my respect for him just grew and grew. Folks called himself teasing me and Greg Butler, talking, oh, y'all the coach's son. Y'all the coach's son. I said, well, when you got skill and talent, you can be who you want to be. And that's respect. I don't think what you talking about, you know, this is a great dude here. So one of the things as the years went on, I had a son, and my son ended up running track, and did some of the things I wanted to do, did some things I didn't want him to do. He was out Hampton, and the people at Hampton basically ran him off. So I called Coach, I said, look, you've seen my son over the years, what do you think? He said, I'll take him. He tried to recruit him out of high school, and he took him right after that. So Coach not only coached me, he coached my son also. You know, because he did, if he's cut after you, I got him. He said, now when you release him to me, he's mine. You know, in closing, I just want to say, I love Coach Moultrie. When I'm assuming that you must be his brother, because when you walk in here, I was like that. Yes, Coach Moultrie, he's got to be some kin to Coach Moultrie. So to Coach Moultrie's family and to everybody here, we just flew down here from where we come from, Dallas, Fort Worth, and I rolled through a little town, and needless to say, there were some lights behind me. So I said, okay, Zach, here we go. So I grabbed my ID and everything. It was very proper, put my tie up. And son, where you going? I said, well, we're heading down to Coach William P. Moultrie's funeral, and we're just trying to get there. So the guy said, drive slow, give honor, respect to Coach Moultrie. So even now, he still works for us. He made me one time, and my last piece is, I went on the line and I Googled Rockdale, and I saw that there was somebody from Green Bay Packers who played a linebacker, but there's a name that's missing on the Google for Rockdale for outstanding people. I think you know what that name is. I think Google and Wikipedia, he should be the next thing in there. Thank you very much.
First, I'd like to offer my condolences to Coach Moultrie's family and to Miss Betty Piper, who I've known a long time. My name is Brenda Short, Brenda Bailey Short, or Bailey. And I arrived at Howard in 1982 as a long jumper sprinter from Little Friendswood, Texas, which is just outside Houston. And I met Coach Moultrie. The first day I met Coach Moultrie was when I joined the track team. Coach Moultrie offered me a full scholarship based on a letter from my brother and the fact that I was from Texas, but I think it was mostly because I was from Texas. So the first time I met him, and his cowboy boots and his hat, he's someone who when you hadn't even met them, you felt that he was, such a big, important person, not just because it's not about arrogance, but from that first day, it changed my life. And I'm going to read this because it's going to be hard to get through otherwise. So recently when I would talk to Coach, and his mind was still very sharp, he remembered detailed stories about my time at Howard and other past athletes who I felt I knew personally because Coach would tell the stories over and over. I felt like I knew Zach Jones, and I never laid eyes on Zach Jones. I felt like I knew Corley, and I never laid eyes on these folks. I have it memorized what that time was for that 4x4, 302.66. That's never going to leave my brain. As Coach told us every day. So there were so many stories. Everyone remembers the many quotes from Coach. Son, you run here or you run away from here. Or hell, son, everybody can't be a track bison. We've heard that one before, but that is the truth. Coach Moultrie was a tough coach, but he was a caring coach. He would prepare us to compete against the best in the country, which was evidenced by the 71 Division I All-Americans while he was at Howard, or his induction into the U.S. Track and Field Hall of Fame and Howard Track and Field Hall of Fame, and in so many other awards and accolades. As stated by one of my track brothers, he molded young men and women to be their best, not only on the track, but in life. He was a legendary coach, but he was an even greater man. He was 100% dedicated to his student athletes at Howard. He was our coach, but also our mentor, our father, our teacher, our preacher, and counselor. The relationships I made at Howard as a track bison are for life, and that's because of Coach Moultrie. In July 1993, Coach performed my wedding ceremony in Houston, Texas. My husband and I celebrated 21 years on Thursday. So once again, Coach was there for my husband and me at a very important time in our lives. In October 2006, we planned a track reunion during homecoming, and of course, invited Coach Moultrie as the guest of honor. And each person attending shared their love and gratitude with Coach. It was a beautiful moment for Coach to know how much he impacted all of us. Less than 2 weeks after that reunion, Coach suffered a severe stroke. So I have always been very grateful that Coach knew how much we loved him, and he heard it firsthand. Following his stroke, his body was paralyzed, but his mind was still sharp as a tack. I talked to Coach often, and he would always share those special track stories. He would always end our call with, "Bailey, I love you, and there's nothing anyone can do about it." And I would say, "I love you too, Coach." When Coach passed away, I posted a picture on Facebook along with other track bisons as a tribute. The likes and comments on Facebook were overwhelming. Of course, heartfelt comments flowed in from his track athletes, but comments also flowed in from other people Coach had in his golf or health classes, at Howard or attended his church in DC or former Howard basketball, football, and soccer athletes that he impacted, he had such a far reach and impact on people who held him in very high regard, who loved him. In closing, I know that Coach Moultrie is in heaven, smiling down on us, wanting us not to cry too long, but to celebrate his incredible life. God took him to his loving home and freed him from his pain. Coach Moultrie, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Someone who sent me a note asking with all the former athletes from Howard University, or anyone that's here from Howard University, just stand for a minute. Athletes, administration, anyone,
My name is Oscar Reese. Anybody that know me, right there, I'm Jack. Not the one on TV. Regular Jack. To Pastor Jackson, I know my cousin loved him being his pastor. And the pastor loved him. And next, one of my friends, I made a mistake one time. I called him Brooks. But he's Dr. Brooks. A smart man, and he know me, and I know him, and I respect him, and he respect me, and he couldn't ask for anything more. Then I found another person up there. He joined my family. Reverend Curry. For being here today. I admire you. He got some of that Moultrie, McDonald. All of us here today, sitting over on that side over there, we got old man Henry McDonald, DNA. And we love him. They love us all. Now, cousins, nephews, sons, I'm up here today not for you. I'm up here to let you know I love you, but I got one more person I'm going to deal with before I go into it. Now, you see that old gray-haired guy sitting on the end over there? His name is Ned. Really, his name is Rufus. and you know, it was four of us. Willie Smith, Ned Richard, I'm almost going down the age line, Preston, and myself. They have raised me. When I left Rockdale, I have Miss Susanna Piper down, and she could tell you. I wasn't really smart. But you know, people learn as they go. And I learned at a later age. And that's a blessing from God. I want to let y'all know I love my people, but today, it's not that. This is Willie Preston Day. Y'all know him as Coach. But we was raised together. He was Preston, I was Jack, and that was Ned, and the other one named Willie. It's just two of us left, and we still love each other. And everything here today is about love. All through the Bible, everything is about love. And I love Preston. I'm going to get to you, Howard, because we talk a lot about y'all. We love y'all. And I know all about the track and the beautiful girls, you know, he courts. But you know, he told me, he said, man, and that's a blessing to be able to do that. And you take Mr. Betty over there, we talked about us, but very things like that. It was always pressing between him, his ladies, and me. And it's the same thing to my family. It was all about football, politics, anything you want to name. But they told me that not to hold too long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let you know something I learned in school and college, all about love. I had a course in love by a psychologist. He says, love your mother, love your father, then you love your sisters, you love your brothers, you love your relatives, and you even love your enemies. But I didn't like that completely, because the first thing, you're supposed to love God. And anybody that don't love God, he don't love himself. So after God, it's him, and then it's me, and Preston. But I tell you one thing I know, he's going up yonder. And I know how all y'all love him. Y'all want to go up there too. But I think my age got I won't beat y'all up there. So thank you for the time and my family to let me talk to Howard. I'm one of them TSU black boys. So thank you.
Amen, brother.
Oh, asking for strength now. I know that you're able. Use me now. In your service one more time. Oh, the Master, if I falter while I'm trying, don't be angry with me, but allow me to stand, because I'm willing to run all the way. Give me strength, I beg of thee, the Master. Oh Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing and acceptable in your eyesight. For you are my strength and my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. Give reverence unto God. My pastor, Pastor Robinson, of these fine men of God, sharing and co-laboring of the gospel. This family, whom they have adopted me into their family. I didn't just have a pastoral relationship with Coach. I had a personal relationship. And, yes, he had some stories to tell. As a matter of fact, I myself have never met Jack. Some of you all have not met. Just about the stories I've heard. Wave your hands out. You right? Yeah, right there. I know who you are. Robin, Punch, I call her Punch. Amen. I know several of them because I've heard stories. And they were all good. They were all good. Not only did Coach speak highly of you all, anyone that he came in contact with, he tried his best to get them to do their best at whatever they were doing. About 3 Sundays ago, every Sunday after church, Coach would always wheel down to the front, sit right there, and wait on everybody to finish greeting me. This particular Sunday, 3 weeks ago, he didn't wait. All right. Came down out of the pulpit. Coach met me right there. He said, "Come here, Lisa baby." He said, "I'll sit up under some great pastors. But foremost, this is the best pastor I've ever set up under." And I said to myself, how is it that such a man as coach and thinks so highly of a little Negro like me. Touched my heart. I remember when Coach got sick the first time on his way. The doctors were going to he was dropping him and stuff. Got sick. And after like typical. When I heard about it, I needed to jump in my car. I always drive fast, regardless. If you pass me on the road and I'm going 90, that's my normal speed. Every now and then I'm passed by the GPS officers and they shoot the If you want me, come get me. But if you don't, I'm going on where I'm going. But I think I drove everything the dash could get that day. And on my way to the hospital, I was crying. And I was saying, Lord, I know that you do whatever you want to do. But you said to make our request known. I said, Lord, if you don't, give it much longer. Give it just a little bit more time upon this earth. Got to the hospital, Miss Betty, Deborah, and they were there, and we walked in. This room when they lied in. Before I could get in the room, I broke down. Coach just wasn't an associate minister of mine. Coach was a friend. Bishop said, I didn't know that Pastor Jackson loved Uncle Preston the way he does. You know, I heard you say that. I said right there, that's because Coach loves me just as much as I love you. There are those of us who pastor, if we were to be honest, we can say to ourselves, there are many in the church that we would rather see go.
Well.
Here's what it is. One of the things that Coach loves about me, I don't like my job.
Right.
There are some folk in the church. Not that I'm evil. Cause to give a life and death. The devil saw my hands right down on this. Brother Moultrie's name wouldn't have been there. I hope you don't take no lesson. Because if you raise hell in your church, you can imagine what your pastor is thinking about you.
All right. Wow, dude. You challenge Coach Moultrie. All day.
Coach invited me to his house and went. Coach had said nothing about the accolades which he had gathered in his lifetime. I, being who I am, just asked him, can I look around my house? Walked off in that room and said, wow. Most folk have a wall beside them. This man's got a room. You would not have known by just passing Coach. You wouldn't have known that he was such a great man, because he did not boast or brag about his accomplishments. What he did is he tried his best to encourage everyone he came in contact with. He said, look at me. A poor boy come from a poor family. Look at me. If I can do it, you can do it. One thing that he always told our youth here at the church, if you don't become anything in life, don't blame nobody but yourself. Yes. You're wondering why you are considered a nobody? It's because you first chose to call yourself a nobody first. Met Miss Lisa. I remember we were having night services for the whole month of March. It was night. Lo and behold, the first Wednesday night, here come Coach. Come on. In his chair down to the church at nighttime. Yes, sir. From Zelma's Farm. Yeah. To the church. All right. And if you ever in Rockdale at nighttime, particularly on this side of town, there's really no lights that shine at night. As a matter of fact, I'm a pistol packing preacher. Sometimes I have two on. All right. And Sister Lisa's mother fell in love with me until when she deceased, Lisa came to me and said, Pastor Jackson, I want to make Mama's house your parcel, so that when you come down, you don't have to sit around here, or if you want to come down the weekend, you can have somewhere to stay. And I'm going to pay all the bills. And that first night starting saying that, I didn't want to run the light bill up, turn the porch light off, and I peeked out the window and said, oh, hell no.
Oh my goodness.
No. As a matter of fact, it was Miss Charles Adawell who spoke highly of me to Coach when he first moved back. And he said, that boy young. Now, if you knew Miss Charles Adawell, Yes, she fell in love with me because I basically expressed the way as she expressed the way she did. She introduced me to Coach, and I wasn't even there. Coach came to the church. Coach couldn't do much, but he always had words of wisdom. Nobody else shared with me what they got out of the message that Sunday morning Coach did. That meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me when I had somewhere to go. And my funds was running low, and it's just something about it. He didn't even know that my funds was running low in 2 fingers. I know you could whisper. I tried, but you couldn't. I know you got somewhere to go with this in your pocket. One particular Sunday, Coach called me. He said, "Here, go get you some ice cream."
Ice cream.
I opened up my hand after I walked off because I never let that money when some in the presence of the person who gives it to me. I never do that. I always walk off. Yo, come on. But it ain't what you expect. I walked off and I was headed back to the study, and I reached down in my pocket and I pulled it out. I didn't have no money in my pocket, so that was the only thing. Pulled it out, and it was a $100 bill. I can't eat $100 bill. Coach was just Coach.
Yes, he was.
He was just Coach. Lovable. Very lovable. He had a side of him that would flare up if it needed to. It didn't flare up at me because I have enough sense to know. I'm calling my name, but somebody made Coach mad. And I say, let's pray, Coach. He was a man that showed affection to me. He did not care. He was fat, skinny, ugly, pretty, black, white, rich, poor. Shared love with everybody. There's a particular person that he loved so much, but every time he got sick, and Sister Lisa and others couldn't get him to do, they would call Miss Betty. It seemed like when she walked in, his whole demeanor was just bad. I love peace traveler, and I'm pretty sure he did too. And you was his peace traveler. I want to say, not that they would expect for me to say that, but I want to thank Lisa, Miss Betty, Rosalind, Bubba, Deborah, Sister Selena, all of you You done all you could to make sure my friend was happy. My friend. Means a lot to me. Will I miss him? Especially for parking. When I said, let me park right here. Anybody got a quarter? I can put it in the meter code. Say, I got you. Got a whole row, Pastor. He loved me. Unconditional. He loved me dearly. And it's hard. And how long you've been preaching? And how long you've been walking with the Lord? I don't care if you know the Bible from Revelations to Genesis, Revelation. Hurt comes to us all. I had a preacher. My uncle died, who was just like my father. It hurt me so bad. I was crying, and he grabbed me and said, you know that. You know what the scripture says. I wanted to cuss it. Yeah. I looked up at it and I just walked away because I knew the hurt that I was feeling. Lo and behold, 3 months later, his sister got killed in a car accident, and I went to the funeral service, and he was crying. I said, Reverend, you feel the hurt that I felt. So I feel your hurt. But I know that Coach is in a better place. And my tears will be tears of joy. He can't come back to where I am. I have to go where he is. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still water. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Thou art with me, thy rod, thy staff, thou comfort me, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. But surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Surely, so to use for the subject topic is surely. Life is unpredictable.
Yeah.
But death is sure. God does not care who you are. Does not care your social or economical background. When he's ready for you, he calls your name. He does not care if you're healthy or sick. In Moultrie business 23 years. Some healthy folk have died. When God gets ready for us, does not matter who we surround ourselves with. Does not matter which hospital we go to, who our doctor is. Does not matter how much money we have. All right. We surely have to go. Writer of the text comes to the conclusion that I am in need. His name is David. And before he comes to the point of his life where all hope is almost gone, before he begins to say, I don't have any wants in this life, he recognizes who is the giver of life.
All right.
Yes, he does. Because he says, the Lord is my shepherd. And because he's my shepherd, I have everything that I need.
All right.
When I'm tired, he doesn't just lay me down, but he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He loves me so that wherever I am, he turns it into a green pasture. I'm in the desert land. He carpets the desert with green grass so that I can lie down and have some rest. He leadeth me beside still water. Restore my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. The writer of the text was encouraging himself so that he can understand that whatever it is I go through, whatever I need, whatever I don't have, God will provide for me. And he does it in such a way that there is not a bit of doubt. When he speaks here, he speaks with certainty that whatever it is I need, surely God's got it.
All right.
I'm almost through. I can't preach Coach Life. I can only try to encourage you and I that God would never leave us, nor will he forsake us. I can only encourage us that even though Coach is no longer on this side with us, his presence, his legacy, his charge, he has passed on to us, and that we shall see him again. How is it, Roger, that you can say you will see him again? Because Coach had unbelievable doubts that whatever state he found himself in, he learned to be content. The wheelchair paralyzed on one side, could really do for himself. You could not tell when he was hurting, he wasn't going to tell you. Because he believed in the word of God. I have God, and that's all I need. Everything I need, because he's my shepherd. If I ever meet another man in my life, I'm glad you met a real man. Don't really make them like that, don't they?
That's the one that kind of broke the mold.
Yes. Get that long finger up. He told exactly how he felt. Now, he tried to be nice sometimes. Some folk you just can't be nice. You just got to tell them how you feel. Don't worry about Coach.
All right.
All right there.
He's all right.
Coach, all right.
All right there.
Yes.
No more pain. No more suffering. He's resting. In the bosoms of Jesus.
My Lord.
Coach, sleep on. I'll see you in the morning.
I would like to say one thing about Dr. Leonard Gunn. He was in Korea and he did serve the military. And the audience did have to see the flag.
I'm sorry. Y'all come on. I got to go and lock Coach in his earthly bed now. That he may rest from his labor.
When we come back from the cemetery,
No, but we are there.
the repast will be in the fellowship hall in the back. We ask that all of our locals, if you would let our guests go eat first. A lot of them have flown in and they have departure times that they must catch. Amen. So please be mindful.
Sing with Jesus.